Hey everyone, and welcome back to another explainer. Today, we are stepping right onto a completely different kind of battleground, one that is entirely inside your head. We're breaking down the brilliant foundational insights from Mark Douglas's landmark work, Trading in the Zone. And we're zeroing in specifically on Chapter 4, Consistency, a State of Mind. Look, if you've ever put your own hard-earned money on the line in the markets, you know the absolute intense energy and emotion that comes with it. But today, we're going to completely reframe how you think about trading, how you handle risk, and how you finally achieve that elusive consistency. Let's get into it. Okay, let's dive into this. Have you ever noticed the ultimate paradox of the markets? Taking a trade is, physically speaking, incredibly simple. You literally just point your mouse and click a button to buy or sell. That's it. You might even have a few winning trades right out of the gate that bring a rush of money into your account with practically zero effort. So, if the physical act of trading is so easy, why is consistent winning so painfully elusive? Why are so many incredibly smart people constantly at their wits' end? Well, it's because the physical simplicity completely tricks us. It tricks us into ignoring the massive psychological complexity happening behind the scenes.
You know, there is a very stark contrast between an amateur and a seasoned pro. As a typical amateur, you might find yourself endlessly overanalyzing the market, desperately trying to predict the future, just to avoid the pain of being wrong. You're basically operating out of pure fear. But the consistent winner, the pro, they operate entirely differently. They don't try to predict anything. They operate on pure probability and total acceptance. The pro knows that winning and consistency are just states of mind, exactly like happiness is a state of mind. They don't actively try to be consistent, they simply are, because their underlying mindset automatically dictates their actions.
I really want you to let this quote sink in for a second. The consistency you seek is in your mind, not in the markets. This right here, this is a massive reality check. Because if you're struggling, your first instinct is probably to go learn yet another technical indicator or stare at more charts for hours on end. But listen, more market analysis will absolutely never cure your fear of losing. It will never miraculously just create trading consistency for you. The market doesn't owe you consistency. You have to intentionally build the mental framework to extract it yourself.
Here's the thing. Our minds are hardwired by evolution to avoid pain. So when you enter a trade with the rigid expectation that the market simply must give you what you want, any contra information immediately threatens your ego. And what does your brain do? Subconsciously, it activates these heavy-duty mental defense mechanisms. It will literally block out, obscure, or totally distort perfectly valid market signals just to protect you from the emotional pain of being wrong. You'll literally ignore a clear-cut exit signal until your account is bleeding out, all just to maintain a temporary, pain-free illusion.
So what's the actual ultimate solution to this? It is true risk acceptance. And I need to be absolutely crystal clear here. Simply putting on a risky trade does not mean you have actually accepted the risk. Almost everyone assumes they're a big risk taker just because they clicked the buy button. But if you feel hesitation, fear, or your stomach drops the second a trade goes against you, yeah, you haven't accepted anything. True risk acceptance means fully, genuinely embracing the potential consequences without any paralyzing fear taking you out of the opportunity flow. To really grasp how totally subjective fear is, consider this amazing story from the source material. Imagine a father with a paralyzing, lifelong phobia of snakes. He's introduced to a friend's pet snake, and he immediately jumps across the room in sheer terror. But his 3-year-old daughter, she is completely enthralled. She's fascinated by it. The dad is shocked she isn't terrified. But the truth is, fear isn't universal. Unless she was specifically taught to be afraid, her natural reaction was just pure, unadulterated fascination. Your fear of the market is exactly like the father's fear of the snake. It's just a learned mental software bug, and the good news is you can consciously rewrite it. You see, the market itself is completely neutral. It is literally just a continuous stream of up and down ticks on a screen. It doesn't inherently generate happy information or painful information. It doesn't know what you want, it doesn't care about your mortgage, and it certainly isn't actively fighting you. If you feel pain, it's not the market causing it. It is simply your own fearful state of mind, your own unaccepted risk being reflected right back at you like a mirror. Now, what's really interesting about this next part is how it completely flips the script. The casino analogy and thinking in probabilities. Have you ever wondered how a casino can afford to build these billion-dollar mega resorts based entirely on playing random games? It's not magic. It's because they have flawlessly mastered thinking in probabilities. Zero. Zilch. That is exactly how much you need to know about what happens next in the market in order to make consistent money. You do not need to be a psychic. You do not need a crystal ball. The casino doesn't know if the next spin of the roulette wheel will land on red or black, and honestly, they don't care. They don't need to know the outcome of any single individual event to be consistently, wildly profitable over time.
If you really want to trade like a casino operates, you need to adopt these 4 non-negotiable traits. First, predefined risk on every single event, no exceptions. Second, flawless execution of your edge. Third, you must allow your edge to play out over a large sample size of trades. And fourth, absolutely zero emotional attachment to any individual outcome. The casino lets probability play out over time without ever trying to predict a single specific hand of blackjack. You must do the exact same thing with your trades.
Which leads us to this really beautiful concept called making yourself available. When you finally stop demanding that the market constantly prove you right, and you stop twisting yourself into knots trying to avoid pain, your mind just opens up. You stop imposing all these rigid expectations and limitations on reality. By making yourself available, you actually start seeing the opportunities the market is offering you in the present moment, rather than just staring at the illusions created by your own fear.
Okay, let's move into the final piece of the puzzle, entering the zone. This is the ultimate goal, the place where your mind and the market finally fall into perfect sync.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what we mean. The zone is a completely frictionless mental state. Your mind and the market are in total sync. There is no fear. There is absolutely no struggle. Your ego is entirely detached from whatever the outcome might be. You just effortlessly ride the opportunity flow because you are no longer perceiving the market's information as a personal threat. So how do we actually get there? It's not mysticism, it takes specific, actionable steps. Step 1, neutralize your expectations. Just stop assuming you know what's going to happen. Step 2, accept the risk entirely before you ever enter the trade. Decide right then and there exactly what the market must look like to tell you your edge isn't working. And step 3, act on your edge without a single microsecond of hesitation.
To maintain this elevated state, you must adopt this core mantra: anything can happen. You literally must repeat this to yourself until it completely shatters the destructive illusion that you can predict the future. If you truly, deeply believe down your bones that anything can happen, your mind simply won't let you attach rigid, painful expectations to the next tick of the chart.
This mantra is the absolute bedrock of the 5 fundamental truths of trading. 1, anything can happen. 2, you don't need to know what's going to happen next to make money. 3, there's a random distribution between wins and losses for any given edge. 4, an edge is just a higher probability of one thing happening over another. And 5, every single moment in the market is totally unique. Absorbing these truths completely locks in that probabilistic casino mindset.
So the crucial point here is really that 5th truth. Every single moment is completely unique. The specific group of traders acting right now on the market are not the exact same traders who were acting yesterday. Therefore, associating today's brand new trade setup with yesterday's really painful loss is a fatal mental error. It's a completely different moment, a completely different market environment, and a totally different probability.
Look at this comparison. When you strip away those rigid expectations, your entire physical and emotional reaction to a loss completely transforms. The typical trader feels threatened, they feel betrayed, and they either freeze up or start revenge trading. But the probability thinker? They experience literally zero emotional damage. A loss is just the statistical cost of doing business. It's overhead. Their next action is to just calmly wait for the next edge to appear and execute it perfectly.
This is exactly what it means to live in the now moment opportunity flow. You are entirely present. You aren't dragging the heavy, painful baggage of all your past losses into your current real-time decisions. You are simply perceiving the market exactly as it is, an endless flowing stream of opportunities to execute your edge. And that leads right into this incredibly powerful realization. When you genuinely accept the risks, you will be at peace with any outcome. Guys, profound peace of mind isn't just some nice-to-have luxury in trading. It is actually your ultimate, most devastating weapon for extracting profits. If you are totally at peace, you simply cannot be rattled.
Think about it. Once the risk is genuinely, truly accepted up front, what is there left to protect against? Absolutely nothing. When you no longer see the market as a personal threat to your fragile ego or your wallet because you already completely accepted the predefined cost of the trade, your brain just stops filtering out crucial information. Suddenly, you see the market objectively. I want you to deeply, fully internalize the casino math with this one specific question. If your edge truly puts the statistical odds in your favor, Does every loss put you that much closer to a win? If you genuinely believe the answer to that is yes, then why on earth would you ever hesitate to take the next valid setup? You wouldn't. You'd pull the lever on the slot machine with total, unshakable confidence.
Which leaves us with one final, incredibly provocative question that demands a shift in your entire approach to this game. Every single time you sit down and open your charts, ask yourself, are you trying to be right or are you trying to be consistent? Because I promise you, you cannot have both. Surrender the desperate need to be a psychic, embrace the cold, hard math of the casino, and conquer your own mental environment. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, focused learners. Keep mastering that mindset, and I will see you next time.